Hi, on behalf of Group 3, welcome to the Wellness Center. As we know, the COVID-19 epidemic has taken an incredible and immeasurable toll on our physical and mental health. Group 3, myself, Lauren Ellerman, Ashley Payne, Heron Salimi, and Samantha Slattery agreed that for this focus, we wanted to create a mental health product that would meet the need of Americans. And with a diverse background of our professional experience, from law to mental health to financial services to data and marketing, we introduce the Wellness Center. We're going to start with Heron telling you a little bit about our project overview. Then we're going to move into the research insights, meet the person that we designed our product for, problem definition, proposed solution, and next steps. Thank you for your time. On to you, Heron.
Thank you, Lauren. So I'm going to be going over the project overview. So as Lauren had mentioned, our motivation for the project was solely based on the fact that since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, mental health and mental health treatment has been a growing concern. The pandemic has undoubtedly raised awareness toward mental health systems and service needs. And actually, a study from the US Department of Health and Human Services suggests that there's been a 32-fold increase in behavioral telehealth since the onset of COVID. Approximately 1 in 5 Americans are experiencing a mental illness, and further, this number rises to about 41% when we're considering adults who are either showing symptoms of anxiety disorder or depressive disorder. And so with this increased awareness, diagnoses, and demand for treatment, we wanted to assess the quality of telehealth treatment in regards to behavioral and mental health. With these rising numbers, we wanted to assess current attitudes and identify where we can grow this opportunity and where we can improve it as well. There are a few things we wanted to learn here. As I mentioned prior, the pandemic has undoubtedly accelerated the long-time efforts to destigmatize mental health issues and normalize the search for treatment. And there are a few things I wanted to learn from this. One being, did more people get mental health treatment? 2, did telehealth opportunities increase access? 3, does a shortage of therapists still exist? Are there present barriers to access mental health services through telehealth? And finally, do insurance companies pressure practitioners to provide in-person treatment that may leave people out of treatment or without access to care? Further, going to our research insights, based on our initial secondary research, we developed a few questions to further our investigation through in-depth interviews. And our team supplemented secondary research along with these interviews. We researched the motivators and barriers to working professionals and family caregivers for adopting virtual telehealth therapy. There are a few things we categorize our findings into and what we asked our interviewees. These can essentially be grouped into 4 categories. 1 being the motivators for seeking out virtual therapy, 2 being the barriers for participating in it, 3, the attitudes associated with teletherapy participants, and 4, the wellness effects from teletherapy on busy working professionals. From our interviews and secondary research, we gathered insight on these 4 categories. We found that a lot of the motivators for accessing teletherapy was undoubtedly COVID. We were quarantined and many people couldn't leave the house. So this is a great way for them to get the treatment they need in the interim. Anxiety and uncertainty were definitely another major factor. And 3, family stress. We found that one of the biggest barriers was finding a good fit and a provider. We found that connection was vital, which I'll go into more in the next slide. And we also found that there were quite long wait times. I know from my own personal experience, there are wait times as long as 4 to 6 months, and people definitely can't wait that long for treatment they need right now. We found that there's also some stigma that still prevails among teletherapy and just mental health in general. So really trying to minimize that. And we also found that the wellness effects from therapy are undoubtedly necessary. As I mentioned prior, we found that connection really matters. We also found that it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter whether or not you access therapy in person or virtually. As long as that connection is there, we found that the effects are pretty much the same, which got us really thinking into how I want to incorporate this into our prototype, which we'll go into later. And finally, just a quote we got from one of our interviewees, which just shows how that connection is really vital for finding a good provider.
Awesome. I can pick it up from here. So after completing both primary and secondary research through the internet and one-on-one in-depth interviews, we defined a target market and created a persona to emulate this audience and personify who we were solving this problem for. So meet Busy Barbara. Our team developed Busy Barbara. She's a mom to 2 high school aged kids in her 40s and lives outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. She has a very busy life, but likes it that way. She's a leader and member of many community organizations like the school PTA, book club with her friends, and involved in her local church. Barbara is going through a bit of an identity crisis and likely has undiagnosed anxiety and depression, as she's the main caregiver for her household and 2 kids, but is afraid to seek mental health treatment due to the stigma in the South and within her social circles. So again, stemming from the research we completed through independent studies and interviews, 3 major milestones emerged. Busy Barbara will need to research and find a therapist meeting numerous needs. So her therapist must be open to receiving new clients, must be within her insurance network, has appointment times that works with her busy schedule, and is able to treat her needs and concerns. And obviously must be a good personality match in order for Barbara to meet and thrive in her therapy experience. Second step is actually attending the first appointment. And as I mentioned before, stigma is a huge issue, especially given that she's from North Carolina and is more Southern communities, and then keeping it a secret and away from her family and her social circles. And then lastly, she'll likely need to enjoy the first 2 milestones in order for her to continue to seek treatment and be able to thrive during life's ups and downs. So from this, we decided it was now a good time to identify and define a problem for Busy Barbara and the Busy Barbaras that exist in the world. So our problem statement, Busy Barbara, or a busy middle-aged mom, professional wife and friend, needs straightforward, immediate, virtual, and discreet mental health treatment because she's overwhelmed and concerned she won't be able to locate a therapist who will understand her problems and needs. So why is this important? That's a great question. This is obviously important because mental health matters. And for Busy Barbara, access to mental health must be easy for patients. Connection is important between the provider and the patient, and telehealth is different from in-person therapy and treatment, and that it's both location and time flexible, being able to meet Barbara's needs. And with that, I'll pass it over to Ashley to talk more about our proposed solution.
So in creating our prototype, we chose to create an app where the user's experience would be centralized within one platform. We heard within our interviews that the current process for virtual therapy, from finding a provider to having the virtual appointment, often involves multiple websites and applications. So we decided that the user experience for the Wellness Center keeps everything located within one app, while also providing additional member benefits such as discounted wellness resources in order to help bridge the gap between virtual and in-person wellness services. In the first image, you'll see the provider portal, which allows the user to see the snapshots of available providers, similar to a dating app where users can swipe left or right on a provider that they wish to learn more about. And when viewing the provider's profile, a user can also watch a 15-minute video introduction. They can view the provider's availability, as well as learning more about the provider, such as preferred treatment modalities, personality interests, and other details that the provider would like to share in order to create a more personalized experience. So once the user is connected with the provider, they have access to a calendar where they can schedule appointments in advance and view the provider's availability. You'll see that in the calendar graphic here. And you'll also see on the portal graphic, this is where the user will have appointment reminders. They'll have access to available member benefits, as I mentioned before, like discounts to local coffee delivery, gym membership, and other wellness resources like guided meditations and massages within the user's dashboard. They can also access notes from previous appointments with the provider and opt in to push notifications from their provider, such as, don't forget to journal this week about self-care, or did you take 10 minutes to meditate today? So the app that we created answered a few questions that we found in our research. And on the next slide, we'll also go over some feedback that we received. So ease of access was really important to both our persona and what we found in our focus groups and interviews. We needed to have a customizable experience, additional features as well, and really being able to see that calendar in advance for a provider was extremely important. So that for our busy Barbaras of the world, they could see those appointments well in advance so that they could book them out and know what their schedule is going to be for a month or two in advance. The app was deemed visually appealing, which kind of fits in with our persona that we created. And just keeping everything simple and centrally located was extremely important. So next, I'll pass it off to Lauren.
Thank you so much, Ashley. When we developed the Wellness Center, we realized it's not for everyone. But why should you choose to support the Wellness Center? Well, let me take just a minute to tell you how. Wellness during COVID looked different. Kids are masked, we've got slides, and wellness solution now is very different as well. If you look, everybody needs to engage in these wellness activities. And the Wellness Center is not for someone who's experiencing an acute mental health crisis. Next slide, please. But the Wellness Center is in fact for a tired, overwhelmed working mom because it's convenient, schedule drives choice. It does provide immediate health for that depression or anxiety or those feelings of needing help immediately. And with the Wellness Center, you get to maximize the chance of therapy success by maximizing a connection with a potential therapy provider. The original project objective was to remove the barriers. So much time was taken in finding someone who had their schedule open. Within a minute of logging into the app, that has been taken care of. The Wellness Center is about the provider. Get to know the provider first. Don't spend 20 minutes telling an app about what you need, but spend those first 20 minutes finding information about your potential connection. Plan ahead with a calendar. It's discreet. You can put it on your calendar for a Wellness Center appointment. Sounds a lot like going to the gym. And it also encourages overall personal wellness. We all know during and after COVID is so paramount. Curated lists of additional resources provided from your mental health therapy provider just for you makes this an amazing place to make that mental health connection, as well as pricing models that meet for you. So welcome to the Wellness Center. Our true insight that we learned is that everybody could benefit from talk therapy, and we want to help find that perfect match, connect to wellness, and reduce the barriers with stigma, creating convenience and overall connection. So what do we need from you? Well, obviously, we need your help. We need your financial support in developing our app, in recruiting providers who are already stretched thin, recruiting new providers. Financially, we need support for operating costs, platform training, advertising, marketing, and the network of community partners so that we can encourage general wellness activities within your geographic area. We thank you so much for your time. And if you have any questions, please let us know.